All right, welcome into another episode of the Lowdown Sports Show. This show is brought to you by T Public and Fanatics. I'm your host, Drew,
And I'm BJ.
and we're here, as always, to get the lowdown on all things basketball. And specifically today, we're diving into the NBA playoffs. We missed a week. We were supposed to be on the road last week. Things got super busy. Didn't get to do an episode. So we got to
L-
talk a little bit about stuff from last week and this week.
Yeah.
There's a game tonight. We got to mention that.
hmm
There's some Call of Duty related stuff
Call of
as
Duty.
well.
Mm.
WNBA's got some new rule changes. There's a coaches challenge this year
Yeah,
that
I
we've
know we
mentioned
talked about
before,
that. Yeah.
but we got to expand some more on it.
Mm-hmm.
And with it or quit it, BJ's back at the helm.
Yeah.
BJ's best.
I,
What's
I
on
went
my mind?
I went back and looked, Drew, and this is the first time in almost 2 months that I've gotten to host with it or quit it. It's
Oh,
been that
lucky
crazy long.
you.
Well,
Yeah, look at you.
not because I was trying to duck responsibility or anything like that. It just happened to be how the scheduling worked out, unfortunately.
Yep, with the changes in the network and everything
Mm-hmm.
that's been
Yeah.
going on. So,
Yeah.
but we're back. We're here,
We're here.
and this is episode 92
Golly.
overall.
We're,
Man,
we're
that's
getting
crazy.
close.
Nearing 100.
We'll,
Nearing
we'll be
100.
we'll be there around the 4th of July at this rate.
Before you know it,
Before you know it.
it is coming fast. But we got a lot to get into. So, BJ, if you're ready to go, then NBA stuff. We
I
can
mean, I'm ready, man. This is something that I don't think we've ever seen in NBA playoff history, Drew. Let's start off and talk about how we had one of every seed advance to the second round because we're out of the first round now, Drew. And so we had a one, a two, a three, a four, a five, a six, a seven, and an eight seed all win their first round matchups. And Drew, I think we should start with that eight seed because that eight seed Miami Heat, I will be the first to admit I thought that they had a more favorable matchup against Boston in the first round. They completely proved me wrong with not just going out there and beating the Bucks but beating them in five, even though Giannis missed some time in that series. But even when Giannis came back, Jimmy Butler went into playoff mode. I've got this stat here real quick for you, Drew. I think you'll find
okay.
this interesting.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy Butler in his Heat career, in the regular season, he has played 231 games. He has
Uh-huh.
scored 35 or more points 10 times. He has
Uh,
never had a 40-point regular season game in the
really?
regular season with the Heat.
Uh,
In the playoffs with the Heat, he's played 46 games. I guess this should actually be 48 now, including the game 5 against the Bucks and game 1 in their second round series against the Knicks, which, I mean, obviously, if you're paying attention to the NBA playoffs, that's not necessarily a spoiler alert. But in the 48 games now that he has played in his playoff career with the Heat, he has scored 35 or more points 12 times and 40 plus points 9 times, Drew,
oh man.
including going off for that 50 piece that he had in the overtime win to clinch the series. That was just absurd from Jimmy Butler.
Man, and yeah, the Heat did it in 5.
Mm-hmm.
Over the
Yeah.
one seed in 5. The Mavs
Yeah.
at least took it to 6 when they lost.
Yeah. Oh man, you're bringing up past
Yeah.
trauma that we didn't need to bring up today.
Yeah. It came to the forefront. Now the curse has been lifted on the Mavericks. We can let that bug be passed to Milwaukee until it happens again. Whenever that happens again, if it happens again.
Yeah.
I think it's prone to at this point since it's happened twice in the last, what is that, 16 years? Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So,
just say, yeah, that would be 16 years because it was the 06-07 regular season.
yep,
So
16 years ago.
yeah,
So,
you know what happened though? That season that was the year that Dirk went on and won the title. They did it a little bit out of order in Milwaukee. They won the title first before they lost as a one seed, using the Mavs making the finals, but losing and then losing the way they did in that first round against Golden State all those years ago. That kind of lit the fire, even though it took a couple of years longer than they wanted. There was
mhm,
still that goal and expectation that at some point they're going to get another chance at it, and when they did, they weren't going to let it, you know, they weren't going to miss out on it a second time.
Yeah, it made it that much sweeter when the Mavs got that championship after going through what they went through.
Yeah, but
Um,
I was going to say in talking about the Heat, we can approach it from the other aspect. The Bucks, even though they lost Giannis Antetokounmpo for a few games in that series, I know you talked about this. I know we saw this, and we were going to play it here to start the show. Giannis was asked if this season was a disappointment for him and for the Bucks, or was a failure, I should say, not a disappointment, but a failure. And the answer that he had, if you've got this ready, Drew, let's go ahead and play this a clip of Giannis Antetokounmpo.
okay.
I just asked Bud the exact same question, but I'm curious for you. Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay. Do you get a promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, I don't know, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. And if you've never, I don't know, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it. You know, um, Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure. That's what you're telling me. No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no? Okay, exactly. So why you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. There's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's gonna win. And this year somebody else is gonna win. Simple as that. We're gonna come back next year, try to be better, try to build good habits, try to play better, not have a 10-day stretch with playing bad basketball. And hopefully we can win a championship. So 50 years from 1971 to 2021 that we didn't win a championship, it was 50 years of failures. No, it was not. It was steps to it, and we were able to win one. Hopefully we can win another one. I sorry that I didn't want to make it personal because you asked me the same question last year, and last year I was in the right mind space to answer the question back, but I remember it. Next.
So there you go.
That's a
Do
great
we?
answer.
Yeah, I was about to say, do we agree with the answer? Do we disagree? I think it's something refreshing. I'll say that because you don't normally see players answer a question like that in that manner, at least.
hmm Yeah, no, it was a great answer from Giannis and being able to be transparent and being able to keep his cool. At least in LeBron called us broke one time, so uh, we're glad that Giannis was able to do that. But and obviously the majority of the time, all the time, LeBron keeps it pretty graceful. But yeah, I think it was a good answer. Solid answer from Giannis, and I think it's fair for him to say that, and it's true that it shouldn't be considered a failure, and that it was definitely the wrong question.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you as well there. I think, like I said, I think it's refreshing because you don't see normally, like that's the kind of if like Giannis said, if he's in the wrong headspace, you ask that question. That's where you get the viral clip because like freak out about the question because you weren't in that right headspace to handle that kind of a question because it's like why are you coming after me. I know that the season didn't end the way we wanted it to. I'm not necessarily myself in the best spot after that. I mean, I don't know how do you think Kobe would have answered that question is what I think about because, I mean, he definitely would have said, if it wasn't a championship, I think he would be probably the one to say, more so that it was a failure because they didn't win the title. But um, so I mean, I think he's right in the way he answered it, and I'm very I'm hoping that this is kind of what we see moving forward because this is a smart, eloquent answer as we talked about, and it's just not something that we're used to seeing, especially right after a series-ending loss in that manner.
Yeah, and an 8 seed over a one at that. Not
Yeah. Oh yeah.
one of the all-time upsets that you would consider.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it was. I don't know if I think it was more surprising than Golden State over Dallas in terms of like the ones that are going to be remembered.
I
Um,
don't know. I mean, how
yeah,
many games did Giannis miss? Just one,
I thought he missed two or three.
or
Cause so he was
was it
out.
that many? I don't
He
know.
was out for most of game one. He missed game two, and I thought he missed game three. So maybe two and a half.
Okay,
I know he played
half
in
the
game
series.
four and then game five,
But
obviously
he
as
came
well.
back and was like triple doubles
Yeah, and
and all that
it took
stuff.
superhuman efforts from Jimmy Butler to win those couple close games there at the end of the series, and you know let's set it up
Yeah,
in five.
and at Dirk's time though, he didn't have. I mean, he was a perennial winner in this league, and he had just gotten his first MVP, but he hadn't won anything. Giannis
Yeah,
has gotten two MVPs and a
yeah,
Finals MVP and won it. I think it stings a little more. Like we were saying for the sweeter version for the Mavs is much more of a stinger version for the Bucks. Having to do this happening afterwards in a
yeah.
year where they were favored as well.
I mean, they. You remember what we said back preseason about when they were talking about wanting to add the whatever, not the Commissioner's Cup, but like basically the version of the
Oh, the
President's Trophy for the team that had the best regular season record.
mhm.
Well, it's just like I had feared kind of when we talked about it back then. The team that had the best record in not just the NBA but also the NHL suffered a first round loss at the hands of a South Florida squad. I mean, it was, just very interesting, and that's kind of why I was like, can you, as bad as it is when something like that happens, if you're a fan of that team, can you imagine the memes if they're handed this trophy during the middle of the playoffs or a series like they're down 2-1 in or something for having the best record in the league, and then all of a sudden they go on and lose the next two, and you're thinking, well, I mean, there's ample potential for memes as a result of that.
Yeah, and there was something out about champions. What happened to the Bruins and the
Hmm.
Patriots years ago. I
Yeah,
wish I could find
I know
the
what you're talking
team.
about. So it's like the team that
Yeah,
has the most wins in their respective sports. So you got this
yeah,
year's Boston Bruins, the 73-9
16.
Warriors,
Yeah,
the '07 Patriots that
Patriots
won like
won
18 and
every
1,
game but the Super Bowl. Yeah,
and then the '01 Mariners who tied the
yeah,
MLS record with 116 wins.
yeah. Like sometimes
They
things
all
like
fell
that just
short of
happen.
Yeah, they all fell short of that ultimate goal of winning the title. Although out of those, the Mariners won a playoff series, Patriots made it to the Super Bowl. The Warriors were up 3-1 in the finals. That's a little bit embarrassing, but I think the way that it happened to the Bruins, they were up 3-1 in the first round series and then they lost. I think that may be the most kind of embarrassing, you know, by
I
a
don't,
team that high.
I don't know what's
Let's talk
worse.
about it.
I don't know.
Oh,
You made it all the way there, had it almost captured, and then lose the one game because I mean, you're there. So I feel like that's an all-time choke in a way, because like you're one game away in those finals,
so
and you
are you talking
lose
about
three straight.
yeah, you're talking about the Warriors as opposed to the
Yeah,
Patriots then.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the Patriots thing. I mean, it's one of those. It's like they're bound to lose sometime thing,
Hmm.
and then they did. It was just the final game of the season and the most important.
Yeah.
But I mean, Tom Brady's still Tom Brady at the end of the day, and his resume speaks more volumes over that one season critical loss. Is it a heartbreaker? For sure,
Yeah.
but that just shows that
I mean,
perfection is not really possible as
I,
much in sports. That
I,
the best team or the most winningest team doesn't always win.
yeah, absolutely. I'd say this at least. I don't think Tom Brady's losing sleep over that game anymore. I think he's got
Mm.
7 different fingers that he can, put a ring on and cry into about that if
He
he
loses
was.
more sleep over the two losses to Eli Manning than he does that I think that was one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah.
one to Eli, and
Well,
the only other
he
one, if
does
I'm
lose
not
sleep to it.
mistaken, was to Philly in 52, I think, something like that.
Okay, so he's got three then. Yeah,
Yeah, he
but
lost
I don't
three
think
times
he's
in the Super
tripping over
Bowl.
the. I don't think he's tripping over the Philadelphia one, but just the Giants one. So that one does sting, but not much. Probably not so much that it was missed on perfection, but I lost to Eli again. Lost to
Yeah,
Eli twice.
I was gonna say that the '07 one was the first loss to Eli, so that
Yeah. Well,
and that was the one that was his first Super Bowl loss at that point because you got the three in like the first four seasons that he was there. Then he gets hurt. They miss the playoffs in one of those years. They get knocked out by Manning. Finally gets his revenge after all that time. I think that they got knocked out by either
well then maybe
Pittsburgh
we're
or
just
some.
wrong, and all these things do haunt these superstars.
Yeah,
Like no
I
matter
mean,
what it is, Boston players got to be like, man, we were this team and we just lost first round and blew that. Man, we were the Warriors. We had the all-time wins and we let them do that 3-1 comeback. You know,
hey,
and Brady.
for every time they blew a lead or didn't win the ultimate trophy, they've got plenty in Boston, especially being one of, if not the only team, definitely the only team in MLB history, but one of the few in any sport to come back from down 3-0 and win a postseason series.
But I bet you Ichiro is a little more salty than the rest of them.
Yeah, I
What's he
think
get out of that?
I was to
He
say
didn't come away with the championships like everybody else.
but he ran into that really good Yankee squad in 2001. It was, I mean, they had won. You talk about the Yankees in '01 had a three-peat at that point. They were the three-time defending champions. The Mariners may have had the best record in baseball, but no team in that year had more postseason experience and success than that Yankee squad. And getting them in the ALCS was really just kind of bad luck. If the Mariners had gotten somebody else, they probably would have won it all that year.
And so in these four situations, you would say that that squad plus LeBron's squad was like a worthy opponent to lose to,
Hmm.
but like Tom Brady's losing to Eli, kind of like a fluke lucky win by Eli and a team that wasn't supposed to be there and barely made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll see what the story is for this NHL team that
Well, I
just sent
mean,
the Bruins
just think about this
writing
for
itself right now.
yeah, just think about this for and I know we're kind of well off track here, but it's okay. Um, Tom Brady and New England win the Super Bowl. All it takes is Tampa Bay beating the Giants in the wild card round. If that happens, then Tampa Bay goes to Dallas and instead of New York, or I don't even remember if that was. I know Tampa Bay was like at either the three or the four or something, and New York was a wild card team. But since they were the highest seed overall remaining, they went to Dallas, and then they beat the Cowboys, who they lost to twice in the regular season. Then they went into the frozen tundra in Lambeau and won on the road there before winning the Super Bowl. They just got hot at the right time, went on that run. So I mean, I don't think they were necessarily a fluke, but nobody really saw that coming before the playoffs started because there were some people that picked against them even in the Tampa Bay game. And then for the Boston Bruins, I mean, this Florida Panthers squad this year that they faced, they haven't won that ultimate crown, but they've got a lot of playoff experience, and I think it's been a couple years that in a row now that the Bruins have had some achievable goals that they just ended up choking in the postseason over. So
Do you see that Florida squad making the Stanley Cup?
I tell you what, it's wide open, man. The cup is wide open. You're talking about Drew the
Yes or
cup.
no?
I'm gonna say no, but that's because my bracket doesn't have that happening.
Fair. I guess
I've
stick with
got
what you got.
Carolina. I've got Carolina winning it over the Stars. So I know.
Wow, why would you do that to us again, yo?
Well, I think Carolina's a really good team.
I've had enough losing championships in Dallas. We've had enough
I
of it.
I'll be happy to be proven wrong if both the Carolina Hurricanes and the Dallas Stars get there. I'd love for the Stars to win another. Um, I mean, it's my bracket had Boston and Colorado and the New York Rangers winning anyway. So what the heck do I know? But the cup's so wide open, Drew. If you haven't been paying attention to the NHL playoffs this year, it's there. No team that has won a Stanley Cup in the last like 15 years or something is still alive to win it this year. So we're going to see a long drought of some sort or facet being broken this year. Out of the last like 10 Stanley Cups, only three teams that have made even an appearance. They didn't win it, but they were in the finals, which is Dallas in the bubble. And I want to say the other team is, oh goodness gracious, maybe,
Vegas.
yeah, Vegas. You're right. Thank you. Vegas against Washington. The inaugural year that Vegas was in it. That those are,
Yeah.
I believe, those are the only two teams that are still alive. That could win it this year, that have even made an appearance in the last 10 years. So it's going to be crazy to watch. But the second round has had some pretty good matchups. Game one of the Eastern Conference semis, no Joel Embiid, no problem for the Sixers. But then return of Embiid in game two and revenge of the Celtics.
Harden gonna be Harden. He gonna give you a little something while Embiid was gone. He'll make you believe that something's about to go crazy, or he's about to go crazy for this playoff series, and then the Sixers will get beat by 20 plus points when Embiid, the
Yes.
MVP, comes back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know that he's completely used to this not number one role after being a number one for so
So
long.
long.
Like
Yeah.
he does it, like he was able to, play during the year, but like when playoff time comes, he's used to that ISO take over, do some James Harden stuff. And now
Yeah.
he's a two to this new MVP Embiid. But they got cooked. Simple as that. And Embiid's record versus the Celtics is not good. It's like one and
Yeah.
eight, I believe.
Something like
So
that. Yeah.
it's pretty bad. And there was a quote like back 3 years ago that's like it's asking about the Celtics. It's not a rivalry. They kick our bleep every time. Said Embiid.
he's not
About the
wrong so
Celtics.
far though. Is the thing,
They
like
do. They do.
I mean, that's like I didn't think it was going to be a sweep or anything like that, but when we get this Boston and Philadelphia matchup, we've seen this so many times. It's tough not to think that the Celtics are going to find a way to win this series yet again, because
Yeah.
I
This
don't
this
know if
team
it's the boogeyman that Philadelphia can't solve.
This Philly team is just not built to beat that Boston team, and they're still built mostly the same around, Tatum and Brown that they've been for
Yeah,
a while, and
Brogdon. Yeah,
that team has always beat the MB team. I mean, and they haven't changed much. It'd be different if Brown was gone and somebody else was there with Tatum, or vice versa. Tatum was gone, somebody else there with Brown,
yeah,
but it's still mostly the same. That team has always had Philly's number.
yeah.
So, and they'll send them home and go to the Eastern Conference Finals yet again.
Yeah, the other Eastern Conference semifinals is pretty interesting too. We talked about the Knicks and the Heat in the other semi. Jimmy Butler misses game two, and the Knicks bounce back in getting the win, 111-105 in the
Barely.
home court. Yeah, I was gonna say it was a closer game than you'd expect, but this Heat team, I mean, we talk about playoff experience and how much it matters at this time. Even without Tyler Hero, without Bam Adebayo, without Jimmy Butler, they were still so close. And I mean, you're talking about a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're a team that was in the finals in the bubble back in 2020 COVID year.
I want a bubble
Um,
rematch.
you want a bubble rematch?
I want a bubble
I
rematch.
mean, it's looking like it might be a possibility, Drew.
It could.
Out of all the craziest things that have happened in NBA playoff history, a bubble rematch with a 7 seed Lakers and an 8 seed Heat would probably take the cake.
That would be big time if that happened.
As
But I
crazy as
mean,
crazy as it was that the Heat made the run as the 6 seed, I think, in that bubble year, coming out from being the 8 to even if they don't win it, I mean, who knows, if we
and
get that matchup, they might.
their run is, I mean, both runs are kind of gauntlet runs. Heat
Yeah,
going through the one seed Bucks with Giannis and all that. Now going through the young, powerful Knicks with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle and company,
yeah,
the feisty Knicks, I should say, and
yeah,
then would meet Boston and then meet whoever on the other side. And the
yeah,
Lakers, they had to go through the young Grizzlies with John Morant
hmm
and company. Now they're having to go through Steph, the defending champs and
yeah.
company. And
Talk
then
about
they would
playoff
have to go,
experience there.
yeah, then they'd have to go through the Phoenix Suns or the former two-time MVP Jokic and company, and
Yeah,
Jamal Murray, who is cooking
yeah,
like he always is in the playoffs. And then there's your rematch.
yeah. I mean, it
So
would
two
definitely be
crazy
earned.
runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of it, we talked a lot about the East here so far, but the West is really interesting. I mean, obviously you had Golden State coming back. We talked about, they were down 2-0 the last time we spoke and said, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they still found a way to win the series, and sure enough, they do in 7 games behind a playoff Game 7 record, 50 points from Steph Curry
A
in Game
blowout
7.
victory over
Mm,
Sacramento. That's
yeah,
crazy. We were talking
and
about, or I was
the
saying that
Lakers
Sacramento
blowing
was
out the
good.
Grizzlies in Game 6.
Yeah, and I was saying that Sacramento was good enough to win the playoff series back in the regular season, and then I admitted, like, well, I didn't expect that they were going to play the Warriors, and
I mean, how
it just
could you?
proved to be, yeah, it just proved to be, Warriors' experience and Steph Curry is just too much for the Kings to deal with, even though they were
Yeah,
leading at halftime in that game. But Curry is going to be Curry, and once Curry is going like that, it's really hard and almost impossible to stop.
I saw a crazy
Um,
stat that every time that the Kings have been in a playoff series that was tied 2-2 after 4 games, they don't win those series. They have never won a playoff series that was tied 2-2 after 4 games, and that was the case this year. When I think that was when watching Game 5 back. I think that was last week when that game was played.
mm,
So that's
man.
just, I mean, you talk about the 0-2 game or the 0-2 series against the Lakers. I think was the same way. Most of the time they say they either lose in 6, but they've had a few that have gone 7. And I kind of expected the way that the Warriors were playing, especially after winning Game 5 on the road, that they'd go and take care of business at home, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and I mentioned KD and the Suns a minute ago,
Hmm.
or a minute ago.
Yeah.
He's gonna get a Call of Duty skin. Did you see any of
No, I
that
didn't see
news?
any of that.
I played a
No.
little bit of Call of Duty. I don't know how much that thing's gonna cost, but if it ain't too much, I'm gonna try and get it because that's kind of cool. It really looks good. A good, it's a good skin for KD on Call of Duty. That's awesome.
So let me ask you this as a Mavericks fan. Um,
No, I
in
don't
this,
want Dylan Brooks.
No, 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 no. I was not gonna say Dylan
Oh,
Brooks.
okay,
He's
okay.
on his way. He better learn. He better
To
read up on.
Shanghai.
Yeah, I was about to say he better brush up on his Chinese. He's probably headed
Hmm.
to Shanghai. Um, if you, as a Mavericks fan, are you rooting for Denver more so than Phoenix in that series, or how do you feel about this Denver Phoenix series? Because for me personally, seeing like all the trash talk that Phoenix did after the Mavericks missed the playoffs, and it's like oh well, you've got the best talented roster in at least on paper. Why didn't you go and win a title again? Oh, that's right, because you're perennial chokers. That's my feelings at least.
I like a lot of players in this series between those two teams.
Hmm.
It's so unfortunately fitting that Chris Paul gets hurt in the playoffs again. Devin
Unfortunately, yeah,
Booker's having his best playoff series like ever, or
yeah,
best playoff run ever so far.
yeah,
Uh, and KD hasn't had to do a whole lot. He's gonna have to now. I like Jokic, and of course Murray. Murray's big time, especially in the playoffs, of course, as you know.
yeah.
Um,
Playoff
so I
Murray,
mean,
man.
either way I could lean, but just because of Booker trying to talk that cash to Luca, even though KD's with him now, and I like Chris Paul. Bye bye Suns. I'm rocking with the Nuggets to win, and Jokic can see a conference finals versus
so
LeBron. Ha!
so quick picks, real quick. Let's make it quick. Golden State and the Lakers game 2 tonight. Who are you taking? I think I've got Golden State evening up the series.
I think that Lakers go up 2-0 because LeBron knows how important it is.
Okay.
So, and LeBron will have the big game today.
Game threes tomorrow between the Celtics and the Sixers in Philly. Boston go up 2-1, or does Philly retain the home court advantage?
Boston goes up 2-1, but it's a closer game.
And then last but not least, Denver's on the road in Phoenix. Does Phoenix get a home game back, or do the Nuggets go up 3-0, which might effectively end the series?
I think it would be spectacular for the Nuggets to go up 3-0, but I think KD and D Book are going to have a big game 3, and it's going to be 2-1.
Yeah, I agree with your picks for tomorrow. Like I said, I think I'm going with Golden State to even it up tonight. I think this is going to be a knock them down, drag it out kind of 7 game series
Mm.
between the Warriors and the Lakers. But man, this is going to be fun. This has been a pretty good playoff series so far. But outside of just Jimmy Butler being Himothy, it just there hasn't been kind of that like buzzer beating shot going back to the overtime game in the play and with the Lakers and the Timberwolves. It's felt like outside of that Jimmy Butler shot to force OT in the I believe it was game 5, maybe game 4, one of the two
Yeah.
in the Bucks series.
Yeah, nothing crazy. There's just been some high scoring games.
Yeah,
The Harden game, the Curry game, AD's 30-20.
which you'd expect with scoring across the league being up so much this year. I mean, we saw
Yeah.
an NBA record in terms of how many 40-point games by players there were this year. It shouldn't surprise anybody that we're seeing, all these crazy scoring numbers in the playoffs as well. It's because it's just a continuation.
Yeah, and BJ, I want to see what you think about this. Coach Darvin Ham said that LeBron versus Steph is the best rivalry of this generation.
I don't think he's wrong. I mean, you look back at the 4 straight years in the NBA Finals with the Warriors taking, the 3 of the 4, and LeBron really having that extra motivation, winning it in his hometown with Cleveland, and in the fashion that they did it in that series, and then moving over to the West Coast and being a part of that in-state rivalry that Lakers and Warriors fans continuously talk trash, but I think when you're talking about, you could put this rivalry between Steph and LeBron up there in terms of rivalries like Russell and Shaq, or not Shaq, Wilt, um, in terms of like, two of some of the best players of a generation, maybe two of the best that we're ever going to see play the sport of basketball. And they're playing at the same time. They're battling against each other. They battled in for championships because they were in two different conferences for most of their careers. And then, of course, now they're both in the same conference, which is kind of what we saw with Shaq and Wilt, where they weren't playing for championships, but whoever won that matchup was going to inevitably go on and win the title. Wilt was the better player in the regular season, while it was Russell's Celtics that seemed to dominate in the postseason and always win the title while he was a part of that. So I really do think that he's right. I think this is one of, if not the best rivalries of this generation in basketball. And the next one that might be brewing, I think you said it earlier, Luke
Hmm.
and Booker could be the next one.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Um, BJ, this is only going to be the second time in the playoffs. Well, third technically, since this is the second game of this series, that LeBron and Curry have matched up in the month of May. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. Fourth time.
Okay.
Wait. Yes, fourth time. The first
The
time.
the first games of the finals in those 4 years or whatever, and then the
He made
first
me.
game this year.
He made me lose it, BJ.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. That was not
I'm
your
just
fault. I'm just bad.
questioning if that was the case, because I know that sometimes the way the final schedule starts,
Yeah, the
they
first one was May 31st, 2018.
yeah.
Warriors versus Cavs. Warriors won in
Hmm.
OT. Second time was, I just came across it. May 19, 2021 in the play-in when the Lakers beat the Warriors.
Yeah. So that's
And then
surprising.
they
I thought game one of more than just one finals between LeBron and Curry would have been played in May, but I guess I'm wrong.
no, just
So
one it
fourth
appears.
time. How about that? And so let's see. The series is 2-1 in favor of LeBron. The only one that the Warriors won was that finals matchup.
Correct.
Gotcha. All right.
2-1 in the month of May versus Curry. Let's see if we can make it
I,
3-1.
I was gonna say,
Dun, dun,
if you
dun.
didn't need any more facetious stat keeping like that, you'd have to differentiate, Steph versus LeBron matchups to be played in the month of May as opposed to any other month, June, April, March, whenever. But no, that's good.
And now it's time for BJ's Best.
That's right, Drew. And well, I mean, if you're listening on Spotify, we thank you first of all for being a valued member and a valued listener. But you do miss out on a little bit by not getting to watch the show live. I'm repping Star Wars today because, Drew, it is May the 4th, and that's National Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. And you are muted if you're trying to say something, just a
No,
heads
I
up.
wasn't saying
Okay.
anything.
So in honor of May the 4th and National Star Wars Day, I decided, Drew, I was going to play a little game with you. I know we're going to play some
We
With It or
already played
Quit
one
It.
of those.
We're going to play some With It or Quit It later on, but I've got
New
some
game.
of the most iconic quotes from the Star Wars franchise of all time. I want to see how big of a Star Wars fan you are if you know which
Oh
movie they come from.
no! Oh no! I'm gonna
Or
do
you're
horrendous.
going to have a terrible time.
This is gonna be awful.
So
Oh,
what you're
no.
telling me is that you're not a big Star Wars fan then, is what you're saying.
Not to remember them like that in which movie it was in,
Well,
probably.
you'll remember the quotes, but you might not, necessarily get the movie right, I
We'll
guess, is what
see.
you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to start you off with an easy one. So the first quote is, "Try not, do or do not. There is no try." And that was a terrible Yoda impression. So you know the character, but
I
what
don't know
movie?
which movie that was. I
Yeah,
mean,
what
oh my
movie
god.
was that Yoda said that?
Revenge of the. No, I don't know, bro.
Just give it your best guess. Let's see how well you can do.
Hold on.
No,
Hold
don't look
on.
it up. What are you doing? That's cheating. You're not allowed to look it up.
A New Hope.
No, it is not A New Hope.
Oh.
That's a great guess, but that actually comes from episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
So
so close.
you were close. And funny enough, Yoda doesn't appear in A New Hope. Yoda does.
Oh.
Was his first appearance was in episode 5 in Empire Strikes Back. Well, like you said, this is probably not a good start then if you're missing the easy one. But all right,
No, it's not.
number
You
two.
got me with the wrong series to try to be guessing which movie one was from, and there's 10 or 11.
Well, it was either this or going and seeing like how they kind of rank the movies in order, and I was like, I feel like we've done that before. I don't think we're going to really change our minds, and
All right, we'll
so
see if I can get one of these guesses right.
okay, I've
Such
got
a
a
thing
few.
are at this point.
I've got a few more for you, so I think we'll give you some chances to get in. So number 2, Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them." What movie did he say that quote in?
Revenge of the Sith.
Good guess, but no, that was A New Hope. He said that one in the very
Oh,
first. That was Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode 4,
uh,
A New Hope.
dang. Did you do that on purpose to me, BJ?
No, I did not do it on purpose. I'm looking
Uh,
at this list. It just so
okay.
happened to
You know,
be
I don't
that
do good
movie.
with questions when they happen like that. It's like, oh, I'll just use that one. I'm not going to guess it again. So, and then that's the answer.
All right, what about number 3? Luminous beings we are, not this crude matter. That's also Yoda, but what movie does Yoda say that in?
Man. Uh, is it? Well, let me try it again. Revenge of the Sith.
No, not quite. It was Empire Strikes Back.
Ah! Again?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep, that was.
BJ, relax. See, look.
Hi,
See, this is the type of
I
stuff that
am
stresses me out.
I am reading a list. I did not put this together. I'm just trying to see if you know the quotes or like which movie they come from.
Not anymore. I have brain damage now.
I don't think it's that bad. All right. Number 4. Number 4. Your focus determines your reality. The character that says
Oh,
that is Qui-Gon Jinn. If you know the Star Wars movies, you should be able to get this one, Drew.
oh man, I don't have memory like that, BJ. How can I get
Well, you know who played Qui-Gon Jinn, right?
that? No, I don't
Liam Neeson.
remember.
Liam Neeson.
Oh, that makes
And,
this a
and I'll
bit
give you a hint.
easier.
He was only in one movie, Drew.
Phantom Menace.
Yes, there you go.
I
We
was about to
got
say,
one.
I just did remember which one it was because I saw it a second ago on this stream of stuff.
Yes. So we're finally on the board with Drew. All right, Drew.
You just handed one to me. That's ah.
All right, number 5. Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? The character that says
Dang.
that is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The fool who follows him.
The fool who follows him. But what movie
Hmm.
did Obi-Wan Kenobi say that line in?
Revenge of the Sith.
No, that's your favorite movie to guess when you don't know, though, it
Because I
seems.
just had a bad feeling like, oh, if I don't go back to it, it's gonna get used here in a second. Well,
No,
let me
that
guess. Attack of the Clones.
nope. It is
Uh,
from A New Hope. It's another Alec Guinness
oh my!
Obi-Wan
You know
Kenobi.
what, BJ? I
No,
don't know if
don't
I
re-
want to be.
all right. Here, I'll give you.
What is going on here? He's playing with me now.
I'm not.
He
No,
handed he handed me the easy one that was another one of these movies, but all the other answers have been these two movies.
well, they're
Ladies
two of
and
the.
gentlemen, is this not rigged?
This is
He's
not
this,
rigged.
I'm being hoodwinked.
I will
I am
cite.
being bamboozled.
As soon as we finish the game, I will cite my source. You can look for yourself, and you can see that I'm going off the order. I may have flipped one over another and put them out of order, but I'm not trying to
Oh,
do them in any
oh,
particular facet.
oh! So you did do some rearranging,
I
okay? In this
rearranged the
convenient order, huh?
I rearranged the Quag on Jin one so that it wasn't another episode with New Hope in it at
Oh,
back to
was that
back.
gonna be the next one? So you just flipped those two or something?
Yeah, I flipped 5 and 4.
Oh, no, no, no.
5 was Phantom Menace, 4 was A New Hope, and I figured that 2 from Empire and 2 from New Hope back to back wouldn't be a good start. So, all right,
All
next
right,
one up, Drew. Are you ready for this?
I guess.
In a dark place we find ourselves, and a little more knowledge lights our way. The character that says that is Yoda. But what movie did he say that in? And I'll give you a hint. It's not Empire. Don't worry. I'm not
Have
doing
I
Empire again.
have I said it already?
I believe you have, yes.
Attack of the Clones.
No, it was Revenge of the Sith. Oh man.
No, you said that in a question mark like way. I believe you have. Like, I've only said that twice, BJ. I've said it multiple times. I've used it multiple times. You say, oh yeah, you've used this one. Then I'll be like, oh, Revenge of the Sith, yeah, for sure.
Well,
And then I was like,
I
oh well, I
can't
used
give it
another one.
away.
BJ, you don't want to help
All right,
me, man.
all right.
I
I've
thought
got
we
a
were a
couple. I've got a
team.
couple more. Next up is Anakin Skywalker, who says, "Sometimes we must let go of our pride and do what is requested of us." What movie did Anakin Skywalker say that in?
Attack of the Clones, BJ.
It was Attack of the Clones. You got it right. Woo!
Stop it! Don't give me that.
All right. Next up is a quote from Luke Skywalker. He says,
Oh
"We'll always be with you. No one's ever really gone. 1,000 generations live in you now." What movie did Luke Skywalker say that line in?
no. Return of the Jedi.
No, that's a good guess, but no, it is not Return of the Jedi. That is one of the only ones that we have on here from the Disney trilogy, which is Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay. Well, no spoilers then.
See?
I won't say
Been
anything more than that.
bamboozled.
I was not bamboozling you. I thought you'd seen
Just
them all.
kidding.
That's why I
I'm
was
just kidding.
that's why I went that way. All right. I've got 2 more for you.
Dang! All right.
Difficult to see, always in motion is the future. The character that says that is Yoda. What movie did he say that in?
Uh, 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 uh. Empire Strikes Back.
You got it. It was Empire Strikes Back. Yoda says that in episode 5.
Let's go.
Woo!
Whee!
All right. Next to last one right here.
Okay.
This is a funny one. The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Mm.
And the character that says that, if I tell you, you're going to get the movie.
Mm.
Because that was said by Qui-Gon Jinn.
The Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace is correct. And last but not least, train
Place it
yourself.
two more.
Well, what's up?
Place it two more.
Yeah, I said next to last, and this is the last one.
Mm.
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. And the character that said that was Yoda. In what movie did Yoda say that quote?
Mm.
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
Revenge of the Sith?
It is Revenge of the Sith. You got
Let's go!
Woo!
I went out with 3 straight. Let's go!
Let's go. Awesome stuff. So I figured that'd be a little bit more fun than to to go through a list that said like, what's the worst movie? We all know it's Phantom Menace, even though it had the funny line and Qui-Gon Jinn in it. And what's the best movie? Pretty much everyone agrees that it's Empire. So, but maybe next year we'll give our list of the Star Wars movies, because there's a couple that I still have to see, and obviously you still have to see one or two on your
I'm
own.
way behind. I don't watch movies as much as I used to, so it's gonna have to be one day where I just hunker down.
Well, I was just saying, I mean, you treat it like it's a TV show, and you're watching 9 movies. It's about the length of a season of a TV show. So
Yeah,
but
that's true.
well, so Drew, in honor of that, happy Star Wars Day to you and to anyone that is a Star Wars fan that
Happy
celebrates
Star
it.
Wars Day.
Happy Star Wars Day. And just like Darth Vader said, this game was your father. He may not have said it that way, though.
I don't know if he did say it that way.
I don't think he did. Not quite. But that is BJ's best, Drew, on this May the 4th. Be with you.
Appreciate you, BJ. Love that. BJ's best right there. And May the 4th be with you. And with you all, too.
Always.
Are you listener out there? You listeners, all you listeners, you can hear my voice, right? Yeah?
I can hear
Do you
you.
listen to our show in the morning? Listening to the Lowdown while you're getting ready for work, maybe? Pouring up the coffee, getting ready.
I'm going to start putting it on the car ride into work now.
There you go.
Pitch at black hours in the morning.
Well, if you're a coffee person, you need to get yourself a mug with our logo on it, the Lowdown.
Mm-hmm.
The Lowdown right on the side of your brand new coffee mug when you shop with TeePublic with us. And go to our link in the description and get your Lowdown coffee mug today. Just rep the Lowdown and listen to the Lowdown at the same time in the morning while you're getting ready for work. And you can find it in the link in the description. Shop today.
You know, they say that listening to the Lowdown in the morning helps the workday just fly by, Drew. I don't know.
It does.
Yeah.
Especially when we go this long.
I was just saying the coffee might help with that too. But if maybe if you're not a coffee drinker, but you still want to get something to rep, well, you can find it in the description as well. That's our friends at Fanatics. Obviously, the NBA NHL playoffs still underway into the second round now. So the only place that you can go get that playoff merchandise is over at Fanatics. Also, by the way, Mother's Day. That's about 10 days from now.
Mm-hmm.
So if your mother is anything like my mother, it's not the gift of a spatula or gardening tools that she wants. She wants some new gear to rep her favorite sports teams. I'll tell you what, my mom, this is the most excited I've seen her, Drew, about her Colorado Buffs in a long time. She's got a lot of faith in what Deion Sanders is going to do for the Buffs. And so thinking about getting her some Colorado gear for Mother's Day this year. So all those that playoff merch, whether you're rocking the Lake Show, maybe you're repping Jalen Brunson and the Knicks to go all the way this season, or maybe you can get some Dallas Stars gear as they look to try to cage the Kraken in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Fanatics, the place to go for officially licensed merchandise. Right now, you can get 5% off any order just simply by going and shopping on Fanatics. 5% off for any user that is shopping on their website right now. Plus, you can get free shipping on any order over $99 by using promo code 99ship at checkout. That, of course, is US only. That is fanatics.com, officially licensed everything. And
Yeah,
Drew, go ahead. Sorry.
make sure you guys get that playoff merch out there. I done seen on the website. It looks good. Get you them nice little shirts out there. And go ahead, BJ.
Absolutely.
Like BJ said though, Mother's Day around the corner. Make sure you hook up your moms with some gear.
Yeah, I know they'll be appreciative of that if they're anything like my mom. She's repping some lowdown merch every now and again that I see. She'll be rocking it at school even.
Yeah.
Um, so I know that she's got some stuff from T Public and some stuff from Fanatics that she will wear when she is allowed to. So be like Mama Laudermilk and get you some merch from our
That's
friends at T
right.
Public and Fanatics. Drew, it's been a couple of weeks, so what's on your mind today? I know you were out on the road and hitting the well, you got to take a road trip, did you not? The past couple of weeks.
I did, BJ. I got to take a road trip to Jackson, Mississippi.
Wow.
Jackson, Mississippi, a couple of states away from us over here in little old Texas, but it's only about a 5 hour drive to get on over there. And it's not too bad. Half of it's like a straightaway. So, but
Yeah,
nevertheless,
I was gonna say that trip seems to fly by every time that I went on that part of the road. But it's closer to go to Jackson, Mississippi, than it is to San Antonio or Houston.
yep, that's crazy, right?
That is crazy. The
Depends on
only
the day
time
of
that
the week with
anybody
Houston,
would ever
baby.
say Little Old Texas was you. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, had to take a trip down to Jackson because I got to call my first conference baseball tournament because they were hosting that at Smith Wills Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of a lot of baseball used to be played there. BJ, some pro
Yeah.
teams, Mississippi State and
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi Valley State, all over there.
Wow.
This baseball right across there from the Mississippi Sports Museum Hall of
Yeah.
Fame. So
I knew
it
that
was a
there's a lot of tradition and history in both Ole Miss and Mississippi State playing games in Jackson. I knew at least on the football side of things, but I didn't know about other sports like basketball or baseball.
yeah. So I was invited out there. I was down there. Well, I went early because I have cousins down there, so I went and stayed with them. So
Mm-hmm.
I came down early, so I had time to visit before it was just work, work, work for 4 days mostly.
Yeah,
But yeah, down there for 4 days for this tournament. There were 11 total games, and it was a super fun experience because BJ, as you know, my first time doing baseball was that Crandall baseball game back
that's
at the
right.
end of March. I mean, technically got two, but one was as a color analyst, quote unquote, when I was just kind of keeping book and getting used to things.
Mm-hmm.
But really, just one game with Fabian out in what was it?
Was it
I don't even know what town it was.
Red Lancaster?
Lancaster,
Okay.
Lancaster. So yeah, out there for that game, and then had to find some other gigs to go to. So first I did track and field, which oh man, we're moving on.
I
So
know the
baseball,
feeling.
so baseball these 4 days in Jackson, and we're live on this app and online and everything, and by the end of it, I call a total of at least 4 home runs, two inside the park, and uh, both of those in the two championship games that happened.
Hmm.
There were multiple first year programs out there, first year head coaches, a first year program and first year head coach won the tournament, and it was just an awesome weekend getting to call the games. Kind of the unique experience of never doing that before, kind of getting used to it on the fly of like, just kind of coming in, with the commercials, with the sideline reporters, getting new with the team that was only our second time all together, and there was no like itinerary for everything. So it was just kind of me figuring it out as we go along, and then we scheduled and created things along the way. I added stuff to the program. They added stuff to the program. It was a fun time, but I wanted to share with you guys, for those that are watching or anybody that ever watches on YouTube or Twitch, one of the in the park home run calls that I got to make over this past weekend. So I want to share that with you real quick for anybody checking it out. So here we go. Here's Scott. It's a full count on Stapleton now. He's hung around enough in this one to force the full count. Trying to get his Bearcats back on top. And a shot from Stapleton directly to center field. It's going to get down and bounce over. Nicholas Pena is going to go all the way to the wall. Brings in DeMar. Stapleton has the wheels. He's rounding third right now. They say go, 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 and he's going to make it the in the park home run. And we are fired up here in Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. That is some good stuff, man. Good stuff.
And we were indeed fired up in Jackson.
Yeah, he
That
had
was
the
that
wheels.
was that was fun, dude.
Yeah.
You know, not too many times do people get to call an inside the park home run in general, but in my first tournament and in the championship game, I get to call one in game 1 and I get to call one in game 2. So, it's super cool, and I wish I had the other one to show both, but you know, it's just an awesome little experience there, getting to be a part of that and get to call that game.
Did you have
Um,
did you have a feeling that was going to happen? Because I noticed you said in that clip, you said that just before the 3-2 count, or just before the pitch, trying to give his team back the lead, and then he hits an inside the park home run. Are you like Nostradamus or something over here, man?
I thought he might have been going out of the park, to be honest. He was kind of rocking back. I thought he was ready to knock it out, but it got down and then got the super hop over a really good center fielder too. So that was a really high bounce. He almost made the grab. It would have been fantastic if he did. It still would have brought in one, but
Mm-hmm.
that was such a big time play, and it was a good call because my first home run call in the tournament, man. What stinks is we were in the middle of a we had just went to the sideline with the girl we had. So she
Mm-hmm.
was talking and I wasn't saying anything and this dude hits a home run. So I have to cut into what she was saying.
Now
And so
that happens
it's not a complete call. So my
that
first
happens all the
one,
time.
I know, but my first one didn't get to be a complete call, so it was like, nah. So
I know that.
I feel like that was kind of my makeup later because the home run one I did later, I think it was okay, but you know, it could have probably been better. I thought it was pretty good, but so like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 7, whereas it could have been a 9. Uh, but you know, both inside the Parkers I think were good.
Yeah.
I wish I could see I wish I had the other one to go ahead and play it for you, but when I get it, I
Yes,
will
for sure.
let
For
you at
sure,
least
share
see it.
that one
But
when you get it. So two thoughts that come to mind for me. First of all, I guess a question: when you went
mhm,
down field level to the woman that was talking at field level, that's a
mhm.
live hit, right? That wasn't pre-recorded, and they were
That
just
was a
playing it on
live
Xbox.
hit.
Okay.
Was a live hit.
Now that is something, in at least from what I've seen, a little inside baseball here. You know, a good field reporter will stop if there's contact made, let you make the call, and after an appropriate amount of time, throw it back down to her, finish the thought, or have a conversation or something. That's maybe a little nitpick, but that's not on you. You shouldn't be, feel bad or anything, because that's normally the case. Is that, so that happens in the pros all the time, is that,
Yeah.
they'll go down for a quick field hit, and then, the person that's doing the talking at that time has to, pause or stop. And then, because if you're watching the game, obviously you can see what's happening, but if somebody's, you know not able to see what's going on but has the TV on,
Mhm.
somebody needs to tell them what's happening, because all of a sudden they just hear contact, but they're still hearing the field announcer. That can be problematic. So like I said, I don't think that's on you. I wouldn't be too upset about that, because I mean, it sounds like that was just the only time that really happened. And baseball's so finicky and unpredictable that, I mean, you can't ever know when something's going to happen. So, just because you threw it down to the field one time and there was a home run hit doesn't mean that you shouldn't throw it down to field level anymore or anything like that.
No, I'm not like bummed. Like, I'm not mad about it, but I was just
Hmm.
bummed because it was my first home run and I didn't get to do the full call and the shebang because it was a
Yeah,
freshman kid too. So I wanted to, pump it up like this freshman just hit the first home run of this tournament, and I didn't get
yeah,
to give it the full juice like I, kind of wanted to. I butted in. She actually didn't get to finish most of the times when I had to pop back in, unfortunately, which is, I guess something we can work on, but. I mean,
got
she was kind of mostly done for most of the time, except for that time. That was one where I was, cut in the middle of what she had. But
yeah,
I just wanted the call to be better for me. Like I wasn't mad or anything from it. It's just like, man, because I went and checked back and I was like, oh dang, my voice didn't pop in until he was like at second. I was like,
man.
jeez. So the
Yeah,
the
that's
first
that's
home
something
run,
that she's got to, as soon as there's contact, the ball's in flight, she's got to pause what she's saying and
right?
let you pick up, and then you can come back and finish the thought after
Yeah.
the appropriate amount of time or whatever.
Yeah,
But
because I was controlling her audio anyway, because I had to cut her off, and I was all the way off, so I had to turn it all the way back on to
yeah,
hop into the call there. But yeah,
yeah,
all in all, it was a super fun time, a cool experience, and still cool right now to see that my stuff is replaying, on their channel, as we speak. So I mean, if anybody wanted to go watch it, like
hmm,
watch HBCU League Pass Plus online,
yeah,
or if you happen to have the app and you're an HBCU fan or fan of any of these schools, I mean, they're all replaying on a few different channels. Channel 1 and 2 got a couple of the games right now, and one of the specific schools, Philander Smith, is playing one of their games on their channel. So I mean,
cool,
it's just cool to have something like this, and that experience was a fun time. So and
absolutely.
and who knows if I'm going to ever call an inside the park home run again. And the fact that the first two I call are in back to back games and are both championship games.
If you include time that I spent with Commerce softball, and then the 3 years now that I've been doing high school play by play, I was telling you before the show started. I don't that I've had what you might consider an inside the park home run, but actually is probably an error, just because of the way that it should have been. Should have been, the play should have been made, but it wasn't. Um, so I haven't had one of those. Like, I've had a call that, like, if you just able to hear it and weren't able to see it, you might, it would sound like an inside the park home run, and maybe it was, and then I cut it off there. But in terms of, like, what you consider like a proper inside the park home run, I don't think I've had one of those. I've had a few that have left the yard, and I think I've done pretty good job with those home run calls. But I mean, you're getting to do something here, Drew. You got to do something, I should say, that for me, at least for right now, like, you're calling championship games. It was a conference championship for sure. I've had a, absolutely privileged to have a couple of district titles here the last 2 years. But the only thing I could compare to what you're doing would be like getting up to that level at the state level for high school. And I don't know if that's something that's in the cards for me or not. At least not, you know, it really just depends on how you're playing and the matchups and everything to make that kind of run. It was like when A&M Commerce made their run in football back in 2017, and kind of, we knew they had the talent to, but was anybody really thinking that a 5 seed out of Super Region 4 was going to win the title that year? I think you'd say no, they weren't.
Not until you saw that one game where Luis threw like three interceptions in the first half and then like
The
four TDs in the
Central
second half.
Washington game, man, the
Dude,
double overtime
once
win.
once I
Oh,
saw us
so
win, I was like, we're
crazy.
winning it all for
So
sure. Because that
once we got out of Central Washington, I don't think anybody was beating us. No,
no, because we
that was
were
so crazy.
routed, dude. Like we were getting dusted, and
Yeah,
then the second half
there
was just completely other
there was
team,
no way we should have been in that game.
otherworldly performances from everybody in the second half. Just like I almost want, like, if you can get the clip of the second half of that game, just watch that as art on TV. I mean,
I would love
it's
that.
beautiful
I mean,
football and a game-winning TD catch, like
I think it was a
you
Christoph
write
field
it,
goal, wasn't it?
Vincent Hobbs TD.
Oh, you're talking about a different game. Oh, the second half of the championship game.
No, 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 no. This was one of was it the Minnesota Mankato then? But because Vincent Hobbs, he caught a tough one in the end zone, like
May,
almost like a
may,
Tyree type thing, but really hard,
maybe
fell
maybe
down.
you're thinking of the Mankato game. I don't remember the Mankato game. I remember the Central Washington game more um, than the
But
Mankato game.
whichever of those were, which one where we were getting dusted, where Louise did bad in the first half and came
I
back.
thought that was
I
Central
think that was
Washington.
I
Yeah,
thought that was the same game, but
maybe it was, but
it
I know
was
that they won in double
huge.
overtime on the Kristoff field goal.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm right there with you. That was, and by the way, potential XFL champion quarterback Luis Perez, maybe
Oh yeah, man, he's the
They're gonna
lightest
play for
thing.
the XFL title next weekend in San Antonio.
Hey, he needs redemption. Last time he was in a little championship game, which was, oh gosh, what was that? What's that? I don't
It
know.
wasn't the
Some
AAF,
little.
was it?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
There
it was
was this
USFL,
some
wasn't it?
spring league. Yeah, some spring league, and he lost that championship game. But hey, man,
Yeah,
Luis, national TV. Last time we played on national TV for a championship, he won that thing. So, but
yeah. Let's hope he does it again.
yeah, man, you can come into those opportunities as well. I mean, I just happen to find mine. I mean, you can find yours as well. I mean, we're
Yeah,
both, play by playing for schools, but those little opportunities are out there that we can find. And I was just fortunate, just happy to come across what I did with the group that I did, and in the right place at the right time. And
yeah.
the coolest part about it, or one of two cool parts about it, that in the park home run call made the Sportscasters Talent Agency of America calls of the week the other day.
Heck yeah, man.
And secondly, for viewership for those 4 days, we got almost 500,000 viewers across 4 days for those baseball championships. So
We don't
that was
cuss on
awesome.
this. We don't cuss on this podcast, but that's worthy of an F. Yeah, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, man,
Heck
it's
to the
awesome.
yes.
I'm
Heck to
glad
the
I don't
yes.
see those numbers when they're happening. And I had temptation to ask like a couple of times, like, how many people are watching? I'm glad I didn't. It's better not to
Oh,
know.
I
And
mean
that's the beauty of radio
the best thing that
too.
you and I can do if we want to, avoid like the stage fright or whatever. Nobody's listening. Nope. You're just talking to yourself, or if you have another
Yeah.
person there with you, you're just talking amongst yourselves. Nobody's paying attention to you. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
And there's of course things that I know I could have done better, and like, I learned in that experience, some random fumble bumbles that just didn't make any sense. Like, why did you just blah in the middle of
Yeah.
your word there? But I think I had fun overall. We had a good overall experience as a team, and the result came out pretty well. So
Always continue to grow and improve. I think of myself here the last couple of years that I'm better than I was in 2021. And 2021, I thought I was better than I was in 2020, and in 2020, I thought I was better than I was in 2019. That's what you want. Is if you like. I mean, I obviously I don't know if I've talked about it on here. I struggle and still do from time to time with my self confidence, and that does kind of weigh me down in this field, but you just kind of have to feel like, you're improving, you're getting better, you're, trying to catch the things that you might have slipped up on, or like any kind of lines or crutches that you have. So, I mean, I think the more and more that you do, the better and better you're going to be. So I wouldn't kick yourself about, things that you messed up, because everybody messes up. You just got to
yeah.
push on right past it, move on. And most of the time, the things that you think you messed up on, you listen back, or somebody tell you, you play that for them, and they'll say, what are you even talking about? Like, it
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
nearly
no.
as bad as you think it was.
I'm just being constructive with myself. Just know there's room for improvement
Oh,
always.
for
Now
sure. Absolutely.
I know it was good and there were blips in there, but yeah, I'm not beating myself up about it. Did I in real time on some of
Absolutely.
those? Absolutely. Just like, oh my gosh, I'm shaking my
Yeah.
head as I'm writing in this book. Like, what was I thinking? Why didn't
Yeah.
we communicate on? Why didn't they tell me to? Or why didn't I think about?
Absolutely
So,
right. Yeah.
but
No, I get
otherwise,
that. I get that. But great time, man. Good stuff.
for sure, brother.
Was that what was on your
And
mind? I don't even know if
that
I asked.
that's what was on my mind,
All
man.
right,
The
perfect.
experience
Well,
was
I'm glad I
wonderful.
asked the question, because I thought maybe it was, but I didn't know if I put us on a different segue than you were intending. So,
Yeah, good to go.
all right,
Um,
perfect. Well, how about the WNBA? A couple of rule changes that we're going to discuss, and included in that is the official addition of the coaches challenge. Drew, Coaches will be allowed only one per game, even if the challenge is successful or if the game were to go into overtime. A coach can call for an instant replay review in circumstances such as a foul called on their team, a called out of bounds violation, called goaltending, or basket interference violation. So obviously, kind of we talked a little bit about what with the addition of the challenge, but now we know exactly what can be challenged. Is there anything that is not included that there maybe should be included, or do you think that this is kind of phase one, and then once they get it introduced and in place this year, they'll add on to it in the next couple of years?
Well, as you kind of dig into, some more of the meat of this coach's challenges, key features, it really kind of answers the question in itself. But there won't make any changes now. But I think one that's going to be crucial, and it'll show this year, and it's in parentheses. But I'll read the sentence before it. A coach's challenge is now the only mechanism to trigger a replay review of an out of bounds violation at any point in the game.
Mm,
In
mm,
parentheses, it says under the previous rule, referees could trigger a review for out of bounds reviews under in the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, as we all know, as we're
mm-hmm,
all very used to, and overtime. But not anymore. It can
mm.
only be done with a coach's challenge.
Wow.
I think that's going to be so crucial that you know not only is that your only chance to use it, and there's probably another chance in the game that you want to challenge something, but now this is one of those where unless it's the most critical thing for your team in the first half, you got to save that until the
Yeah.
end, until the
Yeah.
crunch time of a game of some out of bounds where you're like, whoa, 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 it's definitely our possession, and then it's a worthy challenge just to get a possession. But that's in the end, it's the value of this challenge is going to be pretty paramount because it's
Yeah.
the only time you can get their out of bounds replay now. You can't get it
Yeah.
at all in those crucial moments of the game like you used to. I think
And
that's
I
kind
think
of
that I,
staggering.
I have a couple things with this because we watch NBA, we see it play out the same way. College is a little bit different. I don't have as big of a problem with that. I think the way that college does it, where it's like every single time there's a stoppage, they've got to go to the monitor. I think that's kind of what needs to be changed more so. But I think that there should still be some discrepancy, especially if there's a crucial like bang bang, where you don't necessarily just have to get a coach's challenge to look at it. I think that they could, have once or twice in crunch time to make sure they get it right, as opposed to having to have the coach's challenge available. So I think that that's kind of my biggest thing that I'm looking at is what, like you said, big change, and it's going to take some getting used to.
Yeah, it's crucial to me to not have that in the last 2 minutes of of uh, of the game and overtime.
Hmm.
Just because if you don't have it, then you can't review anything. I mean, you're just at the
Yeah,
mercy of the officials. And with the experience in both the NBA and the WNBA, the consistency with officials is just like a roller coaster. I mean, it's just kind of up and down.
yeah,
So you can't really trust what you're working with out there. To
and just
initiate the challenge, the team has got to call a full legal timeout, and then the coach will signal, just as they do in the NBA with the twirling index finger towards the referees and verbally indicate the call
yeah.
they want to challenge. And I don't know the structure of the NBA's challenge, and maybe you do, or you can find it and tell me if I'm wrong or not. But are these the same kind of stipulations that the NBA's got? Which obviously the WNBA is going off the same model, but like where like does the NBA have to call the full timeout? I don't remember the process of them calling the timeout and then doing the challenge. It almost seems like once it happens and then play is dead or whatever, a coach will call a challenge and they'll just go to it. There could be a timeout called in the midst of that. I don't know. It just seems like one smooth little process to me, and I don't really completely pay attention. But I'm just wondering if, like, what if you don't have a full timeout to use? Can you challenge still? That's kind
I
of a
was
question that I've got now. Like, if you're out of timeouts, can you even challenge the
no, I
call?
don't think you'd be able to because
That stinks.
yeah, you've got to make
It's
sure you
like
save a
you've got
timeout.
your challenge, but you had to use timeouts. That's
Yeah,
messed up to
so
not be able to use the challenge.
it also makes you realize like you've got to save at least one timeout. So if you get trapped in the backcourt or whatever, is it worth losing the possession or losing the timeout and the challenge, because it's the same way in the NBA. You've also still got to take the timeout, or a if so the challenging team must call a legal timeout. This is NBA rule at least immediately after the call in question, unless a mandatory timeout or timeout called by the opposing team is already underway, and then you do the swirly dirly signal with the finger to get uh, the official to look at, or to, as to why the timeout was called. So it is very similar. I think that if you go to a TV timeout, you can. I think there's a stipulation that they could look at it. They could do a challenge in a TV timeout without having to take a timeout. But if they're unsuccessful, they lose that timeout. Obviously, if they are successful, then the timeout stays, but the challenge goes away. If I'm not mistaken.
And the league answers the question that I was posing. If a team attempts to challenge an event with no remaining timeouts, the team is charged an excessive timeout for which the penalty is a technical foul,
Mm-hmm.
and no challenge will take place.
Yeah. So not just that, but some of the other changes, as you said, the it is pretty standard with, if you call for a challenge in order to overturn a call, it's got to be clear and conclusive visual evidence. Pretty standard fare, but also, Drew, some of these other changes that have been announced includes the transition take foul being uh, heightened the penalty. So not just a free throw that will be awarded to the team that is on offense, that is that the defensive player draws the transition take foul, but it's very similar to what you see in the NBA. The offensive team will still retain possession as well. So that's not too much different um, on that as well. You got it on the screen, man. I was looking at what I had, and you got it right there. So the primary factor to determine if a foul constitutes a take foul is whether the defender made a legitimate play on the ball. Other relevant factors include whether the defender gives up on the play, or if the defender is out of position and unable to make a legal play on the ball or offensive player. So this would be kind of like, some more of those intentional fouls late in the game, but it wouldn't be the same, obviously.
I think all these new rules, the transition take foul and the coaches challenge, it requires more from everybody. The coaches have to be more diligent in the timeouts that they use, and whether or not to use a challenge early and when to save it, making sure they don't waste it.
Yeah.
And players, with the transition take fouls, and just being smart about those, not giving up free points, and when to go ahead and do that and stop fast breaks.
This also says the modified rules regarding transition take fouls will lead to improved game flow and increased fast break scoring opportunities, while still allowing strategic take fouls in the last 2 minutes of both the fourth quarter and of all overtime periods. And then, Drew, as you see there on the screen, there's still also the resumption of play rules that have been modified. So after a coach's challenge or any call treated as an inadvertent whistle, possession will go to the team that clearly and conclusively would have gained possession at the time of the whistle. If it is unclear or unconclusive as to who would have had possession at the time of the whistle, it will be resumed by a jump ball. Also, it looks like new bench conduct rules
Yeah,
are
the
in
league is
place.
taking away fun, basically.
Oh,
All the side they don't want any excessive standing at the benches and sidelines. New rules are in place to reduce just quote I'm going to put in quotes disruptions and distractions
mm,
during live play. Specifically, players not in the game may not remain standing at or away from their team's bench during the game for a prolonged period, and along with coaches are prohibited from attempting to distract their opponents in an unsportsmanlike manner.
mm,
So, like players, for my fans who have been watching for a while the WNBA, players like Renee Montgomery, bench mob in Atlanta,
yeah.
and how all the other excited players get on the bench and get hyping. If you've ever seen any of my pictures, the pictures from AU and people hyping, getting hype at the bench like that, there's not a whole lot of that anymore. Not a whole lot of standing outside or really standing up I mean, been everything's kind of being put in a vacuum in a way. So
Yeah.
it said violations are subject to penalties, technical fouls, and delay of games. So pretty much everybody got to remain in their seats once they get on over there, unless they're probably getting worked on. In which I mean they probably have them sit down and move to the end of the bench at that point.
Yeah.
If it's just some minor work that's outside and at the bench, but yeah, no real celebrations going on anymore. I don't like. Will a technical be foul? Will a technical foul get called once Enrique hits a corner three on the opposite end of the floor and the Wings go up by 15 in game one against Atlanta? I'm just spitballing. In game one against Atlanta, does the bench get to stand up in three? Or boom, technical foul. Atlanta shoots a free throw. That's if
I
those things are happening, I think that's gonna eat away at the fun of the
yeah,
sport
I
there.
think it's all up to the officials and their discrepancy. I think that there is probably a little bit of grace that they can stand
Is
up and
there a
celebrate and then sit
line?
back down.
Is there a line? Like who decides where the line is? I mean, like every
Again, I
official is gonna
mean
be
that's
different.
I think that's like you said. I mean, it's officials' discrepancy, and there are some officials that are less tolerant of fun than others. That's the way it is
Yeah,
in every sport, it seems. And maybe it shouldn't be that way, but sadly, it's something that plagues every sport in some form or facet. There's always going to be a reason why we're talking about the officials, whether we should be or not, in
yeah,
most cases. So
yeah. So we'll just see how that goes. I'm not for taking fun out of things, that's for sure.
no,
But let's
nobody
just hope
is.
players can still celebrate at times. I know not doing anything crazy to distract opponents is something that can
Yeah.
that is fine. But if we're taking fun out of things, then that's not fine.
I don't think
Um,
they're taking fun out. I think that this is kind of
hope
just.
not.
I was gonna say, I think that if, especially if like you hit a three and it goes up by like 15 in game one, in the scenario that you've laid out so eloquently just a little bit ago, um, there might be a timeout that gets called, and that would be the perfect time for everybody to be hype and have the appreciation on the bench and standing up because it's timeout. They just don't want it to be, something that lingers on or is prolonged kind of deal right after a big shot if there's still like 5 minutes to go or something like that. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes, though.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
one last thing I did want to touch on, and just want to see where your opinion is on this, and I want to
Okay.
gauge some others in the WNBA media as well, just on how things are going to be going. And I don't know if this is for every team, but just kind of gauging what the thoughts are on how things are going to be going here. I'm trying to find the
Mhm.
the email. I lost the dang thing.
All right. Well,
Okay,
just okay.
so this one it's about credential requests for this season. So
Okay.
I've been credentialed with the Wings since 2018, and
Correct.
been covering the team along with me, and some other people who have stuck stuck along over the years.
Hmm.
Um, but now credential comes out, or an email about credentials, season and single game comes out a couple of days ago, and it kind of stuck me for a second, just kind of thinking, is this? And I kind of look at it today, just kind of thinking, is this necessarily Dallas or is it the league? Based on how some of the the key rule changes are coming out, it sounds like it's kind of like a theme, and maybe
Hmm.
it's not so much a Dallas thing, but a league thing buckling
Yeah.
down. So, but still, this still kind of stinks because for the most part, people don't know the answer to this. So they sent the email out in the advance of the season. They're accepting season-long single game credentials. Media looking to receive a season-long credential, they say, must commit to covering 75%, 17 out of 20 Dallas Wings home games, and make a concerted effort to at least attend or either attend in-person practice media availabilities at College Park Center and or regularly attend and participate in Zoom media availabilities. You have to do that in order to receive a season-long credential
Okay.
this year, which I haven't heard anything like this before. Like, what if the Mavs were like, you got to come to 30 plus home games for a season credential? Or it's just like, we don't know
Yeah,
what the future looks like because most of the people that cover the WNBA, this isn't their full time gig. I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot of side work, and other people have full time jobs or part time jobs that kind of maintain their income.
yes,
So and no matter what year it's been so far, I don't know how many games I can make it to until the season's done. Then I count up how many games was I at? Oh, I was at
yeah,
this many. So like it's just like I don't know if I can make 15 games. Like, what if I get the most lucrative offer ever and then I have to miss? I can only make 12 games this year. Like, do you strip
yeah,
my season credential and I have to get single game credentials? And like in a certain way, like if you do get a lot of media this year and the team really does win and live up to expectations or exceed them, you're going to be drowning in single game credentials.
yeah,
You're going to be drowning in them for people trying to show up, along with everything else you have to prepare week to week.
yeah.
Um, it's just kind
I
of
mean,
confusing to me for a team that, and like I said, other teams could be doing this as well.
yeah.
I just know this is a
I
Dallas thing right now.
this
That
seems like the kind of thing, at least to me, that it might be a new league wide type thing. But again, I don't want to say that without knowing for sure. So if I were you, like you said, you're gonna try to find out from some of your other friends in the industry that may have had the same email that for the same team. But in terms of what you were saying for like single game credentials for wings or whatnot, if that's the policy they have, if that's just theirs, and this is not something that is being kind of brought down from the highest level to each individual team, that's not your problem to worry about. If that's something that they're instituting on their own, then they can deal with all the paperwork and all the single game credentials that are going to be applied for if the Wings are winning games and getting a lot of media interest. That's
it, it
that's the corner they put themselves into if that's the case.
it is my problem though, BJ, because then I have to, take the time out to send an email to them and hope they see my email to get a credential approved so they can come to these games. What if they
True.
get too clogged up and they can't get a credential, or by the time they actually send me my credential, it's like a few hours before, and I don't know whether I can actually go or not.
Yeah.
And that's not, maybe I would have more of I think they're going to get it for me regardless and just drive up there than any normal person or any new person would have because I've been doing this going on my sixth year. And be
Yeah.
like, surely they would get me my credential because they know me. But as a
But
new
you don't
person
know,
doing
right?
singles, like it's not going to be that way for everybody else. And I don't even know that that would be that way for me.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that kind of stinks about it. You got to do this extra stuff and send an email for a single game all the time whenever you want to go. What if I end up coming to 16 home games? Like, I didn't know that I was going to come to 16. You should have just given me a season credential. I didn't have to send you 16 or more emails throughout the course of
Yeah.
the year. I just think it's kind of a silly little stipulation there for a
I think it
team that
is.
I've kind of noticed over the years. It's kind of had a small dip in its coverage over the years, and like just from media attendance when I go, I mean there's been times like the whole row is filled, but then like in recent years, we got like four people there, and, maybe one or two of us ask questions, and a lot of
Yeah.
times it's me or Dorothy.
Yeah.
So it just kind of doesn't help for the people that want to start or
Yeah.
want to move their stuff over there. I guess I don't know. They just assume that all the big companies are coming to cover the league now and coming to cover Dallas, like the Athletic, ESPN going to be doing it all the time because they're not. I
Maybe.
mean, they're probably going to do what they do every year, unless you're a perennial contender, and then they'll show up a little more often because you're winning and you might win something.
Yeah. I
But
mean, you
if
look
it's
at
anything like previous years, they're going to come in after the draft and they're going to come in at media day and maybe a game or two at the beginning of the year. If
yeah.
Dallas wins the opener by 30, they'll have some people in there, be like, "Oh, this team is looking like what it could be." Oh my God, who knows?
Yeah.
Or
And
people are going
then
to be asking questions. But throughout the course of the season, you'll only see us consistent people who are always here, always there. And
yeah.
you may see those people two more times throughout the course of the season, two or three. But if
Yeah.
this team starts losing, you ain't gonna see them at all, unless
Yeah.
it's like dramatic and they come to ask you some stuff about the drama or something. So
Yeah.
it
No,
just kind of
I get it. I get where your concerns are and everything like that. So I mean, I I I don't know what to tell you. Obviously, we need more information. That's something that we need to, kind of get on the phone and figure out. But I mean, Yeah, I think it's rather ludicrous to require that if so. For instance, there's not been this is the first season with 40 games, so every team is going to get 20 home, 20 away. How many? What's your season?
Ideally.
I think at least I thought that's what they had said, but we'll find out for sure. What's the most number of games you've been to in a season coming into this year? Do you
I
know? Do you
don't
have
know.
a count?
I stopped counting years ago when I
Okay,
was doing early on stuff. But man,
gotcha.
last year I don't know. I don't think I made it to 15 home games. If I made it to double digits, just barely. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. Like even if you were to do this years ago, like when I knew I was at jobs, I was at full time and things like that, and had a Monday through Friday set schedule. Like it still doesn't even work out to be able to do that because of the times that they start the games. Like
yeah.
I'd be getting off at 5 and they got a game that starts at
So
7. Like
yeah,
I can't hardly I can't commit to that. Some of those,
yeah,
I'm able to leave work early and just barely make it on time. But like it's whether
yeah,
it's me doing this freelance thing right now and kind of being partially on my own time versus full time somewhere else or part
yeah,
time anything, like it's just kind of difficult. If you're
yeah,
at especially if you're at any regular 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 job and
yeah.
don't live in Dallas, it's hard to get
I
over.
think it's a bit ridiculous. I mean, like you said, if it's this is something that unless this is coming down from for everyone, I think that this is just a little bit ridiculous to kind of commit to that many games. And it's like what are they going to do? If I would think it wouldn't affect you this year if you don't make it to that number of games, but it might going forward if you continue to cover the team. But at the same time, it's like well they should realize and appreciate that people I mean until they can until they've got enough opportunities and everything that they could cover the league and cover everything as the full-time gig and have more availability and make it to those practices or zooms or whatnot. People are going to be doing other things, and that's just the way life is. If it's
Yeah, man.
if they can make it, they'll do it. And if it's not a great season, then you should kind of really be grateful for the ones that are there consistently and they're more often. But even then, they might not be there for that many of those games.
Yeah, and like the practices and
The Zoom
the
availability,
availabilities for
yeah,
stuff, if it's anything like last year, it was at like noon and 1 o'clock. Last year, right around lunchtime and things like that,
yeah.
where most people are doing some type of work. It's universally noon. People are probably working or on a
Yeah.
lunch break. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
and
saying?
if they're on their lunch break, then they shouldn't be having to give up that lunch break for something, that they could just as easily find out from quotes. If you're doing your job and sending out, a press release with quotes from the media availability,
See,
then
they weren't doing that last year. They're doing it now. I mean, we were kind of jumping, on the situation last year. Like, there's no transcripts, there's no video from post game
yeah,
or anything. Which, the post game or the press conference situation, most of the time they have you recorded on your own, or, you have to request it.
yeah,
Now they're sending assets and transcripts, and but, you know, requiring um, credits on everything, which I understand. One of those. No, I'm gonna leave that one
all
alone.
right,
But which is fine. You get your credit on stuff. Um, but they should have been doing that last year as far as getting the transcripts and everything and all that stuff. So I used to have to move my lunch around to
mm-hmm,
so I could eat either before or after this press conference, and that was the way I made it into Zoom sometimes, and I didn't even make it all the time because it's the inconvenience of having to pop up on your Zoom while you're actually at your work when you're not even supposed to be doing that. So
yeah,
um, people got to think about that. If you do even have people like us, popping in at lunch and things like that, it's not that we don't want to cover your team. It's just it's at 1 o'clock. We do this on the side. We have a
yeah,
full time job that we're at. We can't make it,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
the
And
athletic doesn't want to.
we're relying on you to do your job because unfortunately it's not something that we can get to, but we're definitely happy to cover the team. We just need some help in terms of what was said and everything like that.
Yeah, and
So
maybe one day, brands like the Athletic and those big brands will consistently cover the league and all markets. But for right now and in Dallas, they really don't. All you got is Dallas Morning News, and they've had various writers since I've been over there, and the one that's currently covering the team is freelance, even though they should make him full time, but he's still
Yeah.
freelance for what he's doing with them, and that's the only consistent big company that comes out. You see ESPN maybe once or a few times a year on Zoom, or once they've made an appearance in person, so once or twice. So
Yeah.
that's just
That's it.
how it goes right now until you're a winning team. When you're just
Yeah.
500 and you're a team in years past that hasn't even met minor expectations, then you can't really expect to see the boom.
Yeah.
But that's just how it goes. Hopefully, I can get some type of credential out of this. I don't. I can't. I'm just gonna be like, I can't commit to 15. Like, I just don't know what's gonna happen through
Yeah.
15 games. But we'll just see how things go. Coach's challenge is gonna be interesting to use this year.
For
It'll
sure.
be crucial in those last 2 minutes to not have to replay without a coach's challenge, and um, we'll hope we still got fun in on the benches in the WNBA. So
I
with
was
the
just
quick,
say there's no F in the in WNBA, so it's not the No Fun Basketball Association or anything like
correct.
that. So, but you know what is fun? Like you said, it is with it or quit it time, and this, like you said, this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to ask you 5 questions in quite a bit, and
In a long time.
I think I've curated 5 good ones here for you. So if you are
Heck
ready,
yeah.
let's play a game.
Let's go.
All right, starting off with number one. Drew, last week, the NFL draft took place on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And, well, I mean, I think if you watched, you kind of saw that Philadelphia seemed to only get better with their draft picks. But after the results of the NFL draft, the pecking order in the NFC East, this is how they're going to finish: Philly, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, Washington Commanders. Are you with it, or are you going to quit it?
Quit it. Cowboys are second.
You think so?
Yes.
I was pretty impressed by what the Giants did. They've had a couple of really good drafts here the past couple of years. With they got Jalen Hyatt, they got the
I
oh
say this because if the Cowboys aren't at least second, they got to blow it up if they let the
yeah,
Giants take the second spot because they're not going to win the division. Um,
yeah, I'm right there
so
with you. I'm right there with you because this is gonna snap
unless unless the
unless
NFC East curse continues where there's no back-to-back champ in the NFC East.
I was about to say this. If
Mhm.
this year, if it doesn't end, then it really is a curse because this
Yeah,
seems like the best year for the a team to win
Eagles.
back to back. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that the Giants, because they got a cornerback from Maryland. I was pretty impressed with them. I just was kind of hoping you'd think it was an overreaction. So,
it is.
all right. Number two, I don't know if you heard about this, but there's a writer strike going on in
I did hear
Hollywood.
about this.
Yeah, and
It's not
it's
good. It's
kind.
affecting my shows.
No, I know and I've got bad news for you, Drew. This writer strike is going to go on longer than the one in 2007-08 did. Are you with
Oh
it, or are
man,
you going to quit it?
how long did 10708 go?
It took quite a bit of time. Let's see if I can
Oh
find
no.
the number of days. It lasted from November 5th to February 12th, from 2007 to 2008. So that was
Ooh,
all
4 months.
all in all. Yeah, it was about 3 months and 8 days is
That's
what
nice.
they
Three,
had.
3 months.
So um,
Hmm.
so that was 14 weeks, 2 days, which is 100 days total.
How long's it been going so far?
This is just the first week that it started. I think it was a
First
couple
week.
days ago that it like Tuesday. So we're in day
Hmm.
3 now of the strike.
Oh man. Longer than 3 months.
Longer than 100 days, essentially.
And I sure hope not.
Is this a bit of an overreaction too, or no?
I'm gonna go with it
Mm.
because I think people are gonna be hard headed about this, and it's gonna go on around at least the same bit and probably just barely surpass it. At least I don't know, but
Well,
I don't know if it'll be resolved quickly.
it seems like ever since that strike, they have not had to give as many episodes. I mean, obviously, I appreciate the focus and quality over quantity, but at the same time, maybe I'm out of the loop as to what this strike is about, but that's just me. So I think it's kind of right if this is still going on and they're not having to work nearly as much as they've had, with ample time, with COVID delays and the rise of streaming, where it really doesn't. You're not having to get a certain project out in a specific time frame like you used to have to be able to. I don't know.
Mm.
Right, Drew. Number 3. Talked about the Phoenix Suns who are down 2-0 in the Western Conference semifinals.
We did.
After the Kevin Durant trade, would a loss in the second round for the second straight year result in Phoenix blowing it up in some sort of facet? Maybe DeAndre Ayton heads out the door. If that happens, Drew, I think they will. Are you with it? Or are you going to quit it?
Oh. So it's are they gonna blow it up?
So yeah, so basically, if they lose in the second round,
They do
they
blow it up.
they will uh, do some sort of fashion where they will, um, they'll get rid of at least one piece. I mean, obviously Chris Paul, Booker, and Durant are locked in long term, but DeAndre Ayton maybe not. Maybe a sign and trade.
Uh, I don't know if getting rid of one person's blowing it up. Then if you get rid of two of them, then that probably is because that's half
Hmm.
of what you just built.
Well,
No, I think. Well, I say no to the fact that it's not blowing it up, but I do think Aiton leaves.
okay.
Um,
So you could this. I think
but
this would be a
I
quit
do
it
think they
then.
lose this series too
Okay.
after
I
being
know.
down.
I know that before the playoffs started, I had the Suns and the Lakers in the Western Finals. So, and
Nuggets and Lakers would be nice.
we saw a team that was down 2-0 in the Western Conference semis come back and win in 7 games last year. So,
Yep, sure
who
did.
knows, man? Who knows? All right, number 4. You've been keeping up with Major League Baseball, the standings as of late.
Not the standings. I just know the Rangers are
Okay,
doing really well.
they sure are. They sure are doing well. So the question that I have for you here is the most surprising team in this Major League Baseball season is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Are you with it or are you going to quit it?
What's their record?
They are one of, if not the best in the National League. They've got 20 wins against 9, 10 losses, somewhere around there. Let me double check real quick for you here. The those Pittsburgh Pirates, they have a record of 20 wins versus 12 losses because they fell on the road in Tampa Bay today by a final count of 3-2. The Rays swept the Pirates, by the way. The Rays continue to be really hot and now are 26-6 on the season.
Quit it.
Quit it. So you think who's more surprising than the Pirates?
The Rangers.
The Rangers. You think they were
That we're actually putting it together like we should be.
okay?
Because typically we sometimes don't do stuff that we're supposed to.
And
But
even then,
no
they
matter
still
the sport, Cowboys
yeah
not living up to stuff, Mavericks not living up to stuff,
yeah
i.e., this year.
yeah. Even then, there's still some issues, and they're going to have to figure some things out. So,
And some injury.
hmm Seager should be hopefully coming back within the next week or so. While Degrom, he's I think
He's a few weeks.
he's
DeGrom's
a
a few
couple.
weeks out.
They said a
Seager's
couple
supposed to
weeks.
come
Yeah,
back today, I think.
I saw that they were going to have him on the trip out west, but I don't know if he's going to play yet. So
Okay.
we'll keep an eye on it. But
Yeah.
last but not least, Drew, number 5.
Mm.
You've got an interesting thought on this because I think you've done both of these. So calling an inside the park home run is
Mhm.
more exciting than calling a long touchdown play in football. Are you with it? Or are you going to quit it?
Easily.
Easily?
Easily. Because the most exciting play in baseball.
Yeah. But
Most
what's more
exciting play
exciting
in
in
baseball.
football, though, than a long touchdown play?
I love a good kick return. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't tell me that Reggie Kincaid 99 yarder
Mm-hmm.
back in the national championship didn't get everybody lit.
Oh, yeah.
But that's probably it for me. A good kick return, um, or a big time touchdown catch.
Yeah.
Um, but in the parks, I think it's just because of the rarity of the in the park home
Yeah.
run is what makes it more significant than a regular, just a big, even a long distance touchdown catch. If
Yeah.
it was like 99 yards, one handed behind Odell Beckham style, I'd be like, all right, okay, that's never gonna happen again.
No,
So that one,
absolutely. Right.
but I would say in the park home run for sure.
Awesome. So good mix of widgets and good mix of quiddits there. I thought
I like it. Good
not
batch
too
there.
bad.
Good.
Not too bad for my first experience in a couple months with it.
Seems like it. Yeah.
It's
Since
been a
ancient
while,
time.
but that's with it or
Yeah.
quit it, Drew, and that is the end of the episode.
That is the end of the episode. Longest of the season so far. Is that necessarily a good thing? I don't know. Ha!
Depends on how
This.
much you like us, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on how patient you are, how long of a road trip you got. We might have helped you out a lot. Help us out though. Make sure you go follow us on social media at _lowdown. That's THA_lowdown on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube,
That thing.
TikTok, and Instagram. So make sure you go check that out and give us a follow on there. Got some more content coming soon. Hopefully, some from this episode will be popping out on as many platforms as we can get it out on. Um, so make sure you take a look out for that and share any content you see. And make sure you give us ratings and reviews over on Apple Podcasts and ratings on Spotify. We'd appreciate very much. And shout out to all you listeners if you made it this far. Um, we'll be checking you out for our next edition here next week as we gather in some more playoff info as we get deeper and deeper into it and get closer to the conference finals and towards the end of WNBA training camp.
Yeah, we're
And the
almost to the season.
closeness, yeah, and closer to the start of that season. So make sure you check us out on the next episode of the Lowdown Sports Show. I'll peace out this time.